Does Bryce Young deserve another year as the Carolina Panthers starter? And look, it hasn't been a great season for the former number one overall pick, but you can't deny that he has been getting somewhat better since returning from being benched for Andy Dalton earlier this season. He's thrown at least one touchdown in each of his last 8 games, has also all of a sudden been using his legs a little bit like he was at Bama at times, 3 rushing touchdowns in four of the last games after having none last season as well. Also set a new career high, 68 rushing yards in this past week. So I think with Drew Aller coming back to Penn State, Carson Beck injures his UCL. We don't know Quinn Ewer's status right now. The depth of this 2025 class has kind of fallen out a little bit, but I could still see Carolina maybe keeping Bryce Young and using a day 2 pick on a guy like Dylan Gabriel, Curtis Rourke, Cade Klubnik, Jackson Dart, one of these type of quarterbacks. And like we have to admit, like the regime did not draft Bryce Young. So maybe they move off of him or at least bring in more competition. They'll still keep him on that rookie deal. He's proved that. But Carolina is 3-4 in their last 7 games. 3 of those losses were 1-score games. So they could very easily be 6-1 in this span. And I think these last 2 games against the Buccaneers and Falcons, Steve, will tell us a lot about Bryce Young's future in Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know if Bryce Young has done enough. Frankly, like when people are like, oh, he's improved, it really winds up looking like 58 to 62% completion percentage, 100 and some odd yards, and a touchdown. It hasn't been great. The running game in Carolina has been phenomenal. We know Dave Canales is very, very, very good at scheming his running backs. We also know Dave Canales is very, very good at scheming quarterbacks, and Bryce Young still looks like a bottom 20, bottom 25 quarterback most of the time he's out there.
But he looks like a starter at least now. He didn't earlier this season.
He didn't, but I think at this point, you're getting him in desperation mode, right? He's playing as hard as he's going to play. You can't commit to long term with him. If you have a chance to go get a quarterback in this draft that's better, I don't know exactly who's going to come out, but at this point, I think there's options on the market. Like, say, Sam Darnold comes available. I think that's a better investment for your franchise than Bryce Young is. Now, Carolina's in a weird situation where they are so bad. There are so many holes on that team. It's kind of ridiculous.
That's why I don't think they can pay a first round price for a quarterback right now.
I don't think
They
they
have
can
other needs.
either. I think their best option is to pay somebody. I think their best option is to go get Sam Darnold, ideally.
Kirk Cousins,
It can't be. Kirk Cousins is going
Daniel
to
Jones.
retire. He needs to retire. Kirk Cousins needs to retire. Is what needs to happen.
Oh, come on.
I think the Cowboys could go and trade Dak. That could be an option for Carolina. There's some options out there. If the Rams don't make it to the playoffs or something, Stafford might be available. But Bryce Young is not the answer for Carolina anymore.
Jake, if you have Bryce Young in Dynasty, are you using this, kind of hot stretch, if you want to call it that, for the former number one overall pick as a chance to get out, a window for you to trade him? Or are you holding on and hoping, hey, maybe Carolina does draft like a Rourke or someone in this, day 2, day 3, and it's just him and Young gunning it out here the next year?
Yeah, I'm holding Bryce unless I'm getting a first round pick in return, essentially.
Oh yeah, I don't think maybe I could see you getting a high 2, but I think a first would be tough. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bryce, since he returned to the starting job 6 weeks ago now, he's 1 spot ahead of Russell Wilson in EPA per play, 2 spots ahead of Justin Herbert, 3 spots ahead of Drake May, 6 spots ahead of Geno Smith, well above CJ Stroud in that same span. Like, Bryce has certainly earned an opportunity to stay there. Will they bring in some competition? I'm sure. But they also, that competition could be like a Jameis Winston, where
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, like I don't think they go out in this draft class and take anybody, mostly because it's just not a very good quarterback class, in my opinion. And they're not going to be drafting high enough to get the only 2 quarterbacks I feel worthy of a first, in Sanders or Ward. So I'm holding Bryce. I think, brighter pastures are ahead. Is he ever going to be a world beater? No, but he's going to be a guy that, like, worst case scenario, I can plug in as my quarterback too and feel fine about it.